Greetings, everyone. Well, I thought it was time to wrap up the package opening from Frank and answer his big list of questions here. Okay, so starting off at the top here, I'll just take my glasses off. Number one. Have you ever watched Kids Incorporated, the 1980s TV series? I'm pretty sure I did. I recognize the name and have very vague recollections of it, but honestly, I don't really remember much about it. But I'm pretty sure I watched it back when it was originally on, but it was so long ago that I honestly don't remember anything about it. Like, I wouldn't have seen it since it was originally on, so that's going back a bit, stretching the old mental Rolodex. Here's an interesting question. It says, was there any Saturday morning cartoons that came out from the 1980s and 1990s that you didn't watch for some reason and years later you regret it? I don't know that there's any that I didn't watch and regretted, but there were quite a few from that era, from the 80s in particular, that I wanted to see, but for one reason or another I wasn't able to. The thing that what a lot of people need to realize is during the 80s there were so many cartoons, like afternoon cartoons, Saturday morning cartoons and stuff like that, that there a lot of them being sci-fi and fantasy stuff, usually based on a toy line or had a toy line factored in. That was a lot of the stuff that I enjoyed. Just the sort of multimedia thing. They would have comic books based on them a lot of the time. So anyway, there was just a huge glut of shows, and there was just so many to choose from that there literally were not enough hours in the day to be able to see all of them. So there were quite a few that I wanted to see that I wasn't able to simply because of scheduling. They were on at the same time as the shows that I already watched regularly. Like I remember Jason the Wheeled Warriors, one that I've talked about quite a bit, was actually one of those where my friend Jason, which is a name you may recognize if you've watched the Multimedia Chronicles Retro episodes that I've done. Jason was a huge fan of Jason the Wheeled Warriors, and he was always telling me about it and said, yeah, you gotta check this show out, it's really good, sci-fi fantasy, it does really cool laser effects and stuff. Like, he really liked the animation style and some of the animation techniques used. And I really wanted to check it out, and I did catch a few random episodes here and there, but I wasn't able to watch it on a regular basis because it was on at the same time as some of my other shows. I think it was on at the same time as Transformers, if I remember correctly, just on a different channel. And then there were other shows that I had heard of, that I had heard of, like I'd read about in Starlog magazine, for example, and thought they sounded really good, or I saw them listed in the TV guide on channels that I didn't get. And I thought, I'd like to see that because I've seen the toys, but I'd like to see the show based on them. But I just wasn't able to see them because they just weren't on in my area. So I remember Adventures of the Galaxy Rangers was one of those, which I had read a huge article about in Starlog magazine, and I was really fascinated by it. I thought they had a lot of pictures from it, and it was an in-depth interview with, I think, Richard Mansell or Robert Mansell, I can't remember his exact name. But anyway, the creator of the show. And I thought it sounded great, and I really wanted to check it out, but unfortunately it just wasn't on in my area. It wasn't until literally about 10 years later I got my hands on some of the VHS tapes, so I was able to watch it then. And around, I guess, a couple years before that, I coincidentally managed to get my hands on a few of the VHS tapes of Jason the Wheeled Warriors. One of the local video places was selling some of their used tapes, and I guess that was one that just wasn't renting much, so they had it in their used bins. So I picked up a couple volumes of it there. And then Galaxy Rangers, I just happened to find they re-released 4 videos of 5 episodes each, so 20 episodes, a good third of the series. There were 65 episodes total. Re-released them somewhere around the mid-90s, so I picked up the volumes that they'd re-released, and I saw that then. As for Starcom, I saw one episode. I found one video of it in stores. It just happened to be the first episode, one called Nantucket Sleigh Ride, and I really liked it a lot. I thought it had terrific animation. It was a Deke series, and I thought it had terrific animation, really cool story and everything. Not typical sort of good guy versus bad guy stuff. It was a little more intelligent than some of the other good versus evil cartoons on at the time. and I really wanted to see more of it, but it was never on a channel that I got. So as far as regretting, I can't really regret that because it was circumstances that were out of my control. But there were definitely shows that I wanted to see that for one reason or another I wasn't able to see at the time, but have since been able to see. I did eventually track down all the VHS releases of Starcom, and got fan recordings of the remain. They released 10 of there was 13 episodes. They released 10 of them on VHS, and then I managed to get fan recordings of the remaining 3 episodes. So I have since seen all 13 episodes, and it was awesome. It was everything I thought it was going to be from that one episode I'd seen. And of course, Galaxy Rangers and Jason the Wheeled Warriors. I now have the complete series of both of those on DVD. There's a few others that I'd like to see that I just, again, never got around to seeing, such as Centurions. I know a lot of people like Centurions. I have there was a handful of comic books put out of it. I have those. I've never seen the show. I think I might have seen the opening title sequence on YouTube somewhere, and that was about it. Was another one was Spiral Zone was another one that I heard was really good. I haven't seen any of those. Yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Most of the other stuff that I wanted to see, I did manage to see at the time or have since seen. So, yeah. So no more regrets. Have you seen The Sword and the Stone, 1963 movie? Yes, but a very long time ago. I don't really remember much about it. I remember it being, much like many other Disney adaptations of classic stories like that, essentially a watered-down version of the classic story of Excalibur. I have seen other adaptations of that story, and of course I've seen the 80s movie Excalibur and some other ones I can't remember off the top of my head, but Monty Python and the Holy Grail. But yeah, I have seen Sword in the Stone, but not for a very, very long time. Have you seen the Phantom Tollbooth 1970 movie? I've heard of it, but I am pretty sure I've never seen it. I have heard it mentioned quite a few times over the years. A lot of people are fans of that one, I know. But it's one that I just never got around to seeing. It just kind of passed me by. Have you seen Twice Upon a Time, the 1983 movie? It warms my heart to see this on the list because I thought that I was like the only person on the face of the earth who still remembered that movie. Twice Upon a Time was an animated film that was actually produced by George Lucas back in 1983. And the animation style was done using paper cutouts, much like how South Park does it. Well, it's kind of like that, but more stylized. It was a different kind of look to it, and it was a sci-fi fantasy comedy adventure basically with some elements of fairy tales and stuff worked in, as I recall. Had like a superhero character and. It was just really off the wall and crazy. But I remember really liking it. I first saw it, I guess, probably around 1983, 84. I guess around 84 would have been when I saw it, when it showed up on one of the pay TV channels that my parents subscribed to at the time. So I checked it out there, and I thought it was hilarious. I really enjoyed it a lot, and I always wanted to get it on video or DVD or something, but I think it got a VHS release many moons ago, but I've never seen it on DVD. It just seems to be one of those obscure, forgotten animated films that hardly anybody's heard of, and who knows if it's ever going to get a release. I would love to see a DVD or Blu-ray release of it and get my hands on it, because I would love to see that again. I actually haven't seen it since I saw it on pay TV. I think my mom recorded it, so I watched the video she had of it a couple of times, but that video is long gone by this point. But yeah, I really liked Twice Upon a Time a lot, and I wish it would get a little bit more attention. It's kind of one of those. Well, as you know, I'm a big fan of a lot of the sort of independent animated films of the 70s and early 80s. Ralph Bakshi stuff and things like that, and Star Chaser, The Legend of Orin, Rock and Rule, Heavy Metal, all that stuff, which you just don't see a lot of anymore these days. The Last Unicorn would be another one, of course. Great movie. So yeah, it would be a lot of those films have gotten DVD or Blu-ray releases over the years. It would be nice to see Twice Upon a Time get the same attention. It doesn't even have to be a super deluxe edition. I'd be happy with just a bare bones release, just to be able to see the movie again in decent quality. Yeah. Have you seen Missing Link, 1988 movie? I would have to say no. I don't think I have. I'm not sure I know that one. So no, unfortunately, I haven't seen that one. Have you seen Galaxy High, the 1980s cartoon series? That's actually another one. In fact, I think it was the same issue of Starlog that had the big article about Galaxy Rangers, also had an article about Galaxy High. And I remember reading about it and thinking, well, that sounds like a lot of fun, sci-fi, comedy, high school show. Always wanted to check it out, never have. I do know it is available on DVD in complete series form. I think it was released as a couple of individual volumes and then also as a complete series set with all the episodes on it. I would love to get my hands on that at some point because it's one that I've really wanted to check out for a long time. I've always liked high school comedies generally, and if you sort of throw that into a sci-fi setting, hey, even better. Have you seen Gravedale High, the 1990s cartoon series? I have not, actually. That's one that I would also like to get to add to sort of my horror stuff for kids section. Go along with what have I got in there? Well, I got Filmation's Ghostbusters in there. I got House of Frightenstein. Sorry, Groovy Ghoulies, Drac Pack, Erie, Indiana. A few other things. Well, Real Ghostbusters, I guess, would fit into there, except I've got it up in my box set collection. But I'd love to get Gravedale High and add it in there. And have you seen the live-action Inspector Gadget movies? I have seen the first one. I actually saw the first one in theaters when it first came out, with Matthew Broderick as Inspector Gadget. But I have not seen the second one with French Stewart as Inspector Gadget. I need to see that one of these days. I thought it was all right. It was fun. It was cheesy. The one complaint I had about the first one was that you see Dr. Claw's face, and they don't call him Dr. Claw. They just call him Claw. So that was kind of an annoying, unnecessary change that I don't understand why they did that. But a bit of a funny story for that. I went to see that with my brother and one of his friends, and it was playing at this tiny little independent local theater. In fact, I think it may have been second run at the time, because I remember it was fairly cheap to go see movies there. So we went to this local theater, and we were looking at they had a little write-up by the main entrance sort of describing the movie, and it said, Inspector Claw, or Inspector Claw, Inspector Gadget versus the evil Dr. Clay. Dr. Clay? It's like, how can you get that wrong? It's not like it's a hard word to spell, Claw, It's not like this is an unknown character or anything that hasn't been around for 20 years. So I don't know. Anyway, so it was this little indie theater. This woman at the front takes our tickets and or sells our tickets, or sells us our tickets. Sorry, brain's a little bit mush today. So we go in and, thanks for the tickets. So we go in to get some popcorn, and then the same lady, sells us our popcorn, and then we go and sit down at our at our seats, and we're just sitting there at our seats. Then the same lady again comes in, and she's like, "Can I see your tickets, please?" And we're like, with this sort of expression, like, "You better have tickets." It's like, you just sold us the tickets 5 seconds ago. But it's like, not only was she essentially running the whole theater herself, I guess, but she was playing the role of it being 3 individual different people, even though it was the same person. She was a little loopy upstairs, but we were just picturing, her selling the tickets and then running behind the scenes, all this crashing, stumbling, and banging, and then popping up behind the counter. "Hi, would you like some popcorn?" And and then we go to the seats, and more crashing, stumbling, and banging, and then, "Do you have your tickets?" Yeah, so that was an interesting sort of character experience, I guess. Anyway, so that was my experience seeing the Inspector Gadget movie, and that's become like a favorite reminiscent of my brother and I. We always talk about that anytime the subject comes up. But Yeah, so I have seen the first one. I've never actually owned it on home video at all. In fact, I don't think I've seen the movie since it was in theaters, and I still haven't seen the second one. And that is it. That is it for the list of questions. Hope that answered them satisfactorily for you. Sorry that I hadn't seen half the movies you asked me about, but hey, what can I tell you? It is what it is, right? Even with all this stuff, even I can't see everything. Alrighty. Well, thanks once again for yet another awesome package, Frank. Rosie and I have really been enjoying all the stuff. I'm actually filming this question answering thing a couple weeks after we open the package. I notice the hair is a little shorter. Yeah, Rosie already has watched both sets of Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers. She just loved them. And she also powered through the 2 Tom and Jerry sets, Tom and Jerry Tales and Tom and Jerry Kids. She really likes Tom and Jerry Kids. She's actually watched that one through a couple of times. She watched the Bob and Chauncey Save Christmas or whatever the heck it was. It's put away somewhere. But she watched that one as well. And then and she liked that, and she watched Tweety's High Flying Adventure. She's just started on Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries. She watched a bit of that. We both watched a bunch of Darkwing Duck and Gummy Bears, and we're enjoying all of those immensely. We still haven't got into the DuckTales ones. That's probably, she's kind of focusing on one set at a time and working her way through each one and watching it to death and then moving on to the next one. So. But yeah, so right now I think we're right in the middle of Gummy Bears. She's watched like the first 2 discs, and then we're gonna watch the third one probably the next time she's over. So so thank you very much. We're both really enjoying those. So she'll put on one of the sets, and I'll kind of watch on and off while I'm doing stuff on the computer and whatnot, and then occasionally we'll sit down and watch a few episodes together, and. Yeah, it's great stuff. It's a really fantastic pile of cartoons you sent, and we're definitely enjoying them. So, thank you once again. They are most definitely appreciated, big time. Oh, and she's been reading the comic books actually as sort of her bedtime reading, as she's just kind of relaxing before going to bed. She'll flip through some of the comics. She's still learning to read, so she can't quite read all the words, but she can read some of it. So she's definitely enjoying it, and they're helping her to learn to read. So that's great stuff. Alrighty, well, I think that wraps it up. Where did I put my glasses? There we are. I don't even know how long I've been rambling. Oh, about 18 minutes. Wow. All right. Okay, well, that is it from me to you for now. So thanks again, Frank, for an awesome package. Everything is being very enjoyed by all of us. Well, both of us here. Alrighty. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching, and until next time, sayonara.